The Byrds were an American folk rock band who were billed at one point as America's answer to the Beatles. They were formed in 1964 as the Jet Set, but became the Byrds later that same year. They were at the forefront of folk rock, some would say the forerunner, and they inspired the Beatles to use their sound and Bob Dylan to go electric, apparently, or some people would claim. However, by the end of 1965, they started to take a turn stylistically towards psychedelic rock, and they're considered to be at the forefront of psychedelia. Some would say 8 Miles High was the forerunner of psychedelic rock. Fast forward a few more years, 1968, and they started to be country rock. Some would say at the forefront of country rock. They didn't have any more stylistic shifts after that, but they had lots of member shifts, leaving Roger McGuinn on vocals and lead guitar as the only constant through this. Other members have included Graham Parsons and David Crosby, who later went on to be in Crosby, Stills and Nash and Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. They released 12 albums in their 8 years, and they split up in 1973. They have had a couple of reformations since. Hi, my name's Dan. So this was the second album by the Byrds, and my first time listening to it. I know a couple of tracks on the album, so I know "Turn, Turn, Turn" because that's a really, really well-known track. And it's the title track for the album, of course. And I know one of the two Bob Dylan written tracks on here, which is "The Times They Are A-Changing." Okay. And I'm going to add my voice to other commentators. So I read up some stuff about the Byrds and about this album. So other commentators have commented that this album is dominated by folky harmonies and jangly 12-string electric guitar lines. And I'm going to agree. Pretty much that is the heart and soul of this album. And if you know the track "Turn, Turn, Turn," and many, many people do, or other well-known tracks by the Byrds, you might recognise this description of the jangly 12-string guitar stuff. And that is all over the album, as is the folky vocal harmonies that go in here. So this is folk rock. I tend to like at the fairly near the start of an album to try and nail down what genre I'm going to say it is. I think I'm going to have to call this folk rock, given that apparently this was a foundational album for folk rock, as was their first one as well. So, um, in terms of the development of American rock and pop music at this point in time, where are we? 1965. And they were thoroughly part of the countercultural movement that became known, possibly derogatorily, as hippies, which kind of came to a head in the Summer of Love in a couple of years after this. And to start off with, folk rock was a very important part of this. Psychedelia was a very important part of this. And this kind of earthy, back to nature kind of feel about it is something that's important. I would say stylistically that I can recognise that there's kind of Beatles influences in here, and they deliberately went about trying to put together the Beatles style rock and more folky stuff. They came, I think, most of them from folky backgrounds, and so they wanted to kind of bring that into more in the public eye, and hopefully be successful by melding that with the Beatles stuff. So the topics that they sing about is folky, and that guitar sound, I guess, is more of the kind of rock element in here. Most of the songs, I guess, are social commentary, so especially things like "Times They Are A-Changing." There's a track, "He Was a Friend of Mine," which was an adaptation from somebody else's, which is about JFK. Other songs are about love and relationships. And "Turn, Turn, Turn" itself is a curious adaptation of some words from the Bible, from the book Ecclesiastes. So apparently this was taken from a song written by Pete Seeger and then adapted for somebody else by one of the members of the band, who then brought it forwards into the band and they used it. It has been taken widely as an anti-war anthem, and that's because of the kind of closing words are about peace in here. So I think there are three of them who take lead vocal duties in here, but saying lead vocal is kind of not as important as it is in a lot of other bands, because actually most of the time they're all three singing in harmony, maybe more of them. Having read up on this, I get the feeling that this is an influential and pivotal album, so it's important, but did I enjoy it? And the answer is yes, quite a bit. I'm not completely sold and I'm not a total raver about it, but there's some strong songwriting here, there's some engaging music, and I found it enjoyable. Although, I have to say, maybe I did find the jangly guitar a bit much after an album full of it. So that's what I think of this album. At this point, I'd like to invite you to leave me a comment. Anything you like about the review, about the album. What do you think of this album? What do you think about the Byrds? Have you got any memories of them from back in the day? Please do, leave anything. It enhances my channel no end, but it also enhances my life to read what people have to say about these album reviews. Whilst I'm doing that, I'm going to start a habit of saying, why not also subscribe? Hit the subscribe button and hit the thing so that you'll be notified when I release the next review onto this channel, which will be of the album Souvlaki by the band Slowdive. But that's it from me for now.